It shut down all by itself. It shut down, completely shut down. I didn't even know. And I didn't know why. I don't know why. I'm like, why the hell did it stop? Without
Hey,
me nothing. Still had battery and everything, But I just decided to stop.
yeah.
Uh,
By the way, we're now on live on YouTube.
okay.
This is just an experiment, so
I know.
continue. I just want to make sure that we can still do that.
Yeah.
uh,
But anyway, I don't know. I haven't even had the chance, the time to research what could have gone wrong. I want to do like another test run with it and see if it was a
yeah,
fluke, a one time fluke or what. I don't know. I have no idea.
yeah. I have all these headbands too, and
Yeah.
I've got all. Well, uh, you
Do
know,
you jog? Do you do jogging or you biking? Right? You do
bike.
some jog?
I'm too heavy to run without injuring my ankles or knees or something.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's
at my
nice.
age, I mean, when I was younger, I used to run quite a bit.
Well, you can
Uh,
start slow. You can start all slowly. I started on the treadmill. I started on the treadmill walking, and I did walk, a little walk and run, and I started running more, a little more. But
yeah.
yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Well, this is the time of year I like to get on my bike. It's not too hot, not too cold.
Oh, bike is good. That's a good
Yeah,
exercise. Yeah.
yeah.
You
And
got
we've had a
a
really warm
you got a
fall.
mountain? What do you got? A mountain or hybrid? Which one you got?
It's a hybrid.
That's a hybrid. Okay.
Uh, yeah, I that's probably gonna do me pretty well. I mean, the road bikes are probably not robust enough for this area around here with too much gravel and stuff. But
Yeah.
um, and the mountain bikes are really expensive
Yeah.
and not much fun on the roads.
They're slow. I mean, they're slow. Yeah, right. Because they're made for different terrains. So
Yeah. Well, I'm not one of these hardcore guys who likes to,
mhm.
get on a ski lift and take your bike up to the top of the hill. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's, I'll never do that as
Hmm.
far as well, probably won't ever do that. Uh, but,
Right. So
I,
so yours is like a midway. It's a mid between a mountain and a road bike, like a pure hybrid
yeah,
bike.
hybrid bike.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And it's not it was like a $300 bike. It wasn't like a
Okay.
fancy bike.
Oh, so it's not custom made or anything like that.
Yeah. And, I go to REI and I look at like the $5,000 bikes and I go, oh,
Yeah.
it must be nice, but you'd have to really spend that kind of money. You'd have to really appreciate the fine points,
Yeah.
which I don't. So, and they're super light.
Hmm.
My son's bass teacher is an avid cyclist, and he's got this bike that's carbon fiber, and boy, it is just feather light.
Right.
He's about my age, and he gets out and rides 40 miles at a shot regularly. And 40 miles would just about kill me, But um, I can do 25. I've proven that. 25 is about at 25. I feel pretty sore and
Yeah.
tired, so I could maybe do 30, 35, but at 40. And my son just finished a 50-mile bike ride a few
You got
weeks ago.
you got pretty decent trails around you, Paul.
Oh, we got lots of good trails.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and they're not, well, along the Potomac River. There's the C&O Canal Trail, which is goes on for miles and miles and miles. A lot of
Hmm.
people ride that, and there's other trails nearby.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah. Because we got all these rivers in Maryland, and so a lot of rivers have towpaths next to them, and there's towpaths have go on for a long way.
Okay.
We don't have the mountains unless you get out in Western Maryland, but
But
even
you're
those
north.
aren't real mountains. They're just.
You're north, right? You're like North Maryland, like you are near
I'm
the
in Central
ocean.
Maryland. I'm just in the
Oh, you're more central.
DC suburbs.
Right, right, right,
But if you drive 10 miles north, you're in the Baltimore suburbs.
right. You're nearby Goddard, right? That's where you work, or Goddard Space
I'm
Center, or
not,
you
I'm
know?
about 25 minutes from Goddard.
Got it, right? You used to be based there, right? I believe.
Well, I theoretically am based there, although I haven't been there in almost a year.
Right.
Uh, I went there to get my badge renewed.
Yeah.
Like, and that was the only time I've been there since, February of 2020.
Yep.
So, yeah, I may be going back soon. They were just announced today that we're going to 50% capacity at sometime in November.
Okay.
And then they're going to kind of play it by ear and see, because
Yeah.
they have been some positive test cases lately in the building, and right now they're at something like 20% capacity,
Mm,
and they've had people testing positive.
right.
These are breakthrough. Almost everybody at Goddard is vaccinated, but there's some breakthrough cases. Nobody's gotten seriously ill yet, but these are tend to be younger folks. But the the I'm in my 60s, and so are a lot of other people who work there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, it's a pretty much the population there skews kind of older. So
Same here, same experience. My
yeah,
company also, it's all called government contractor. Well, my company, the reason why is because there's a pretty old population, because we got very old, well, not very long. We got relatively old systems that are being kept on life support. So, so you need the kind of little bit of the older manpower, because those are the only people that kind of know these systems, if you know what I mean. And
yeah.
and it's the way, this is how it works. Government contract. There's a lot of companies that try to save the bucks here and there, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, well, there's Goddard is. I just informally, from my own observation, majority of the people there are over 50.
Yeah.
There are some younger people there. They're always recruiting. They have interns in every summer, lots of them, but most of them don't end up being permanent employees.
Right.
Um, they, I think they'd rather go someplace a little more exciting, like Ames or
Right.
JPL or, you know,
Do
uh,
you have ex-military population as well among the contracting workforce?
a lot of the techs are ex-military.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
we have a
but
lot of
not
ex-military.
not too many. I mean, the scientists are a bunch of hippies. Uh,
Yeah.
very few of them served in the military,
Mm,
uh, and because you're going to get a PhD, you're going to spend your 20s and some of your 30s, just totally absorbed in that,
right.
and so very few people get their PhDs after they're 40. They turn 40. So some do, but not many.
Right.
And so there's a big contingent of scientists. There's a lot of engineers who've got very widely varied backgrounds. About 2/3 are contractors. Uh,
Hmm.
about 1/3 are civil servants.
Right.
And civil servants don't make as much money, but they get first crack at the really good positions.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a trade-off. I've actually considered going civil servant a couple times just so I could, kind of name my slot. But
Right.
the money, the salary lost would be significant, but it wouldn't be crippling.
Huh.
They do okay. My wife's a civil servant.
Okay. Oh, she works for the government.
Yeah, not NASA, but she works for CDC,
Yeah. Yeah.
and she makes a decent salary. It's not as much as mine, but
Oh,
it's
the benefits are good though, right?
the
Obviously.
bennies are good, and the pension is very good.
Yeah.
A federal pension is it'll beat Social Security by 2 to 1.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
Not surprised.
uh, and she's right now she already qualifies for a pretty good pension,
Hmm.
but she's under 60, so she's gonna hang in a few more years, I think.
Yeah.
Because we got kids. Well, my daughter's a junior in college, and my son's a senior in high school. So,
Right.
by the way, he got his driver's license today. I'm so happy.
So you got a few more years of definitely a few more years of support than you have to support.
Yeah, well, high cash output.
Mine
uh,
are older than yours and are still under us anyway, because they can get jobs and they're still home and all. It's cool.
yeah, well, my son's a musician, so he'll probably be living at home for a while.
For a while. Yeah.
he,
Mine are both geeks. Imagine that. No, they don't even. They do everything on the computer, and one of them does little things here and there, but it's not the like an income for
Yeah.
buying your imagination. Just all kind of a spare change, right? So they're definitely still under us for the time being. You know.
I thought you could. Well, I haven't tried it, but I thought you could make decent money doing side gigs in development. But
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on the internet. But I am actually speaking of PhDs and degrees and all that stuff. My big news, I guess, so to speak, is that I just started a master degree
oh,
online.
very good.
Yeah. It's a pretty interesting one at that because and I had no idea until I started digging more into this. I don't know if you've ever heard of Western Governors University.
Western who?
Western Governors University.
I don't think so.
It's based in Utah, but they got branches. It's completely online, but the interesting thing about it is that first of all, it's completely accredited, so
Uh
it's
huh.
not a diploma meal or anything, right? Even
Yeah.
though people might think so. And also, the one interesting thing is that it's competency based, basic, which means that you do not have any kind of traditional instruction as with other degree programs, either graduate or undergrad. Basically, what they do is that we have 6 month term, and you enroll for a minimum of 3 classes, and
Hmm.
then you can finish these classes whenever you want within those 6 months. And basically you take an assessment, right? So if you're ready, let's say you enroll in the class and 1 week you're ready for the assessment and you
Hmm.
pass it, you're done, you finished with the class, and then you move on to the next one. And if you finish the 3 classes before the 6 months period, you basically can enroll for another one. So there's been people that have been able to finish 9 classes, which is an entire master program, in 3 months or less, which is unheard of. So it's and so you can imagine the savings because
That
you can.
that that sounds like a nightmare. Though.
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't pay. I mean, I paid, but I'm going to be reimbursed because I get the tuition reimbursement, right? That I've been paying.
Yeah.
But even if if you can pay out of pocket or whatever, you get a loan or whatever. We're talking about $4,000 for 6 months, which for a master program, even if you finish in 3 terms, we're talking about what, like $15,000 at the most. That's nothing for a master degree program.
Yeah.
And
That's pretty good.
and the other neat thing about it is that I don't know if you know anything about cybersecurity certification, but basically, there's when you take two of the courses, you automatically, when you pass the courses, you basically passed the certification, which each one of them, if you were to take them by themselves, you pay in the order of $400 or $500. One is ethical hacker, and the other one I forgot, forensic. I think is a certified forensic investigator, which are pretty prestigious in the industry. And again, you take the classes, you pass the exams, and you're certified. So that's a
Hmm.
nice thing too. It's pretty neat. So anyway, I just started. So this is my first week.
Yeah. Well, I've been thinking about going back to school.
Do you
Um,
get tuition reimbursement from your employer? The employer?
I haven't even thought about that.
Yeah,
I would just pay for it, but uh,
I
the
can
um,
afford.
the what I'm thinking about, the Drexel University offers a certificate in quantum information,
Okay.
and I thought, well, that is something that fascinates me, and I haven't really had the time to buckle down and study it.
Yeah.
But if I had grades on the line, that I would
Yeah.
probably do that. Once my kids are both in college, I'll have some time. In
Yeah.
fact, now that my son has his driver's license, I have a lot more time because I don't have to drive him anywhere. But
Right.
um, and so I thought, well, that would be awesome to get a certificate. I don't, not a PhD. A PhD is really kind of
Yeah.
uh, more than I want to take on right now, but or ever.
Right.
But
Right.
the I have a master's in applied physics,
Okay. Yeah.
and I've taken advanced courses in quantum mechanics, but I've never really applied it to anything.
Right.
And I really enjoyed those classes, and I got A's in them, but In fact, I really enjoy my master's. It took me about 3 years to get my master's,
That's not that bad.
but I was
No.
taking like one or two. I was taking, well, at most two courses. Uh, I think it was 3.5 years. I took at most two courses at once, uh, after hours, because I was working full time, and I graduated in 2000
Hmm.
with a master's in applied from Johns Hopkins.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You Johns Hopkins. Yeah, I was going to ask
Well,
you.
I was lucky that since I worked for a Johns Hopkins lab,
Right. I
uh,
heard
they
that.
were willing to pay the tuition up front,
Okay.
so I didn't have to pay anything as long as I got at least a B,
Sure.
which I did every time. I didn't have to pay anything,
Yeah.
not have to lay any cash at all, and well, I think I had to buy the books, but
Okay. Yeah.
they but the books were not too much, and the um, the instructors were very high quality. These were Johns Hopkins faculty, basically.
But these were you. But you were in classroom, right? Or did you? Or were they? Or online
No,
class?
they were in classrooms. There was an extension, a Johns Hopkins extension where I worked,
Hmm.
uh, and an engineering school extension,
Yeah.
and
Oh, okay.
the quality of the people taking the classes was high, and the quality of the instructors was high.
Yeah.
And these are all people who worked in the fields that they were teaching
Mhm.
every day, and so they and they were applying their knowledge every day. Uh, so it was, um, you got that sharpness from them because everything that they know they put to the test all the time, and some of them were really like world class, highly respected people in their fields, but all of them were good, and um, so it was a really good course of instruction, and it took me 3.5 years or so, and it was a lot of work because I was working full time, sometimes more than full time, and well, often more than full time, and but it was good. I was up to two or three in the morning a lot, but
Oh, yeah.
well, that was it was training for becoming a parent, I guess. But the I I I could not have made a better decision than to do that.
Mhm.
I'm really glad I did it,
Did it
and
help you? Did it help you professionally? The
it
degree?
does it did help. Yeah, having an advanced degree,
Yeah.
especially in the NASA environment where advanced degrees, having credentials is kind of important to people.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on the culture you work in. Now, if you're in
Yeah.
Silicon Valley, they don't
Exactly.
give a damn where
Yeah.
you went to school
Yeah. I know.
or
I
what
agree.
degree you have.
Yeah.
You could be a dropout. They don't care as long as
I
you.
was reading that. I was reading that the other day. If you are in aerospace, defense, government, they really look a lot at the degrees and the certifications. They they pay attention to those
Well, I
things.
was looking at recently Tesla. They were advertising. They wanted the best AI engineers they could get,
Yeah.
and so they held this AI day thing.
Mm.
They said, "Look, we don't care about anything other than you have done something really impressive
Ah,
in AI. That's all we care about. You can have a PhD or you can have a high school diploma. We don't care.
right.
If you're talented and you've proven it, then we want you."
Right.
That's all.
The exception to the government, agency that I was speaking about might be some of like the NSA. For instance, the NSA they do a lot of competitions where they try to find the diamond in the rough, if you want, where
Yeah.
somebody is so talented because they do cyber challenges, and if you are so good, they don't care. At that point, they don't care. Even if you were a former hacker, criminal hacker, if you're
Well,
really good,
as long as you don't have a criminal record, I guess.
well, no, I understand, but I mean, yeah, exactly. But the intelligence agency, all of those,
Yeah.
they
Well,
really,
the difference between the best people in those fields and the average person is huge.
yeah, yeah,
The average people are cannot really cannot keep you ahead of the competition.
And there's
Uh,
some kids that are like 18 years old, and that they don't have any, obviously, because they're 18 years old, they don't have any advanced degrees or nothing, and they are crazy good at doing, cyber stuff.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
It's all a matter. It's talent and energy. Those two things.
Yeah, right.
You have to
And
have. It's not enough to be talented. You have to have the. You have to have the get up and go to do something with it. But
right,
um, but and they may spend like 18 hours a day gaming one day, and then the next day they're going to come in 5 hours solve a problem that you've been working on for a year, right?
right.
That you haven't, and say, oh well, why don't you try this? Boom, and that's kind of people you need, and they are not your average computer science graduate.
No, exactly, exactly, and that's a good point. And I think that see that for me, I have a lot of different. I made a lot of different calculations because obviously everybody's got their own personal, situations and everything. I figured I looked at my age, employability because I still got a few years. I mean, even though theoretically I would be approaching the retirement, but practically I don't think I'll be able to afford it. So I'm looking at another 10, maybe even 15 years.
Oh, well,
Oh yeah, yeah. I have no choice. I mean, unless situation changes and everything. But what I'm thinking, because I was about to go for a master degree. You might be shocked to hear this, but I was about to go into a master degree into space science. I mean, sorry, space systems to be
well, that's
exact.
that's actually not a bad choice.
Right, and I even went to the campus. There's a pretty good school here called the
Smart.
Florida Institute of Technology, FIT. It's
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard of it or not, but
I
anyway,
have heard of it. I didn't know what they did that one, but
yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah. They got a pretty good program and everything, and I would have been able to be tuition reimbursed as well. But they got a more traditional, program. It's not like this one. But I looked at a lot of different things, and I looked at the sectors, employability, and so on and so forth. And I looked at how much more chances I will have with the cybersecurity degree than with the space systems. To be
mhm.
honest with you, so that's why I kind of, and it's not that it's not that I settled, quote unquote, for cybersecurity because I still like the field and everything, but it wasn't necessarily, I guess, my first choice. But
Well,
yeah,
cybersecurity is huge right now.
it's huge, exactly.
I mean, everybody's getting attacked,
You
and
got static all of a sudden. You got static.
so they're looking for people who can step in and deal with that kind of situation. I have a lot of respect for them. I think that's a tough field.
Check
Uh,
your cable or something because you became extremely staticky.
you hearing this staticky stuff?
Yes, right now.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, it suddenly showed. It started getting all staticky out of the
Okay,
blue.
okay. Let me try something else, and I will keep talking.
Okay.
I want to.
Yeah. You can hear me fine though, right?
You sound great.
Okay. Yeah, you sound staticky.
Okay, I think see. I don't know what the source of that is.
Because it started all of a sudden. I don't think you changed anything, right?
Right. Well, there's so many things in the chain here that I'm not sure what's to
Sure, but what
blame.
I'm saying is that when I could hear you clearly, and then suddenly you started staticky. I don't know. You didn't change anything, so something
Okay.
went
Yeah.
suddenly.
Well, okay. It could be Zoom. All right. Uh,
Yeah,
it could be so. Oh God, this is so tangled up. I should have had this ready ahead of time.
it's almost like a robotic echo, for lack of a better term. In other words, I hear you fine, and then like less than half a second, there's an echo of your voice in a very robotic sounding staticky.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna try switching microphones here. I've got this little lav. Okay.
Let's see if it makes any difference.
I'm gonna plug it in. Test, 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 test,
Yeah.
test, test, test. Okay. Now you
Right.
probably can't hear that yet because I haven't allowed it to yet. Hold on.
Yeah.
Uh, oh dear. What am I gonna do here? Okay. I'm gonna have to go into loop back And oh, I think I see what I should do. I see what I should do. Am I still staticky? Am I still staticky?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'm going to switch channels here. Okay, I'm going to switch channels here. Um, I need a monitor. Hold on.
Static gone. Static sound gone.
What's gone?
It's gone.
It's gone just like that?
Yep. I know what you did, but it's suddenly gone.
Well, what I did should not have had any effect.
Well, it did. Obviously it did, because the static sound is gone now.
Okay. Uh,
Can you duplicate it somehow?
that's the problem. This is one of those hard to duplicate bugs.
Yeah.
Uh, okay, let's see. I think, okay. I'm going to switch to a different mic and let's see what happens. Um,
You might have
can you hear me now?
sporadic, you know what I mean, like a sporadic interference of sort, like maybe some cable that is going bad or something like that.
Can you hear me
Maybe.
now? Oh, it's not coming through at all. Hold on. Oh, it's turned way down. That's why. Can you hear me now? Test, test.
Very low, very faint.
Test, test. How
Very
about
faint.
test, test?
Better, but still a little low.
Uh, I've got it cranked all the way up.
Very, very low volume. Very low.
I've got it cranked all the way up.
Yeah, it's kind
I
of
pretty just
faint.
have to shout into it.
Yeah, it's kind of faint. Faint. It's low volume.
Maybe it's this one. Maybe this one is just no good. I don't know. Test, 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 test. Yeah, I can see that I'm very faint.
Yeah.
Uh, try this. Test, test. No. Well, um, I should have checked this out before I started.
Okay, you're back. You're back to normal.
Yeah, I switched back to the old channel.
Yes, the
I
static
could.
is gone. I mean, you sound fine again now. Like
Well,
you were
yeah, I'm back on the other. I'm back on this mic.
right, but I mean, the static sound is gone as well.
Okay. Well, I don't know where that comes from, and it worries me because I don't want to be recording a podcast and have that just go to
Of
hell.
course.
And I
Yeah.
don't know if it's Zoom or if it's something else.
Yeah, but you would think if it was Zoom though, it would I would start sounding like that as well though, or not necessarily. I don't know.
It may be Zoom's background noise suppression. I'm. Uh,
You have any kind of cable that might be starting to go bad or anything that could be
well, there are cables. They are good cables. I have not messed with them. But there's a what we call a cloud lifter, which is a preamp, which is in line.
Yeah.
And the problem is, this is one of my favorite mics. It's a really good mic, but it puts out very low signal.
Hmm.
Now, in the past, I had my I had my tube preamp, and I didn't need this cloud lifter. And I'm thinking of going back to the tube preamp. I was going to sell it, but nobody wants to buy it because it's a big, heavy thing.
Okay.
So I might just. It means like 2 or 3 hours of bad language and messing around with rock screws and stuff. But, I actually kind of enjoy that sort of thing. But I bought this expensive solid state amp, and it struggled to get enough volume cranked all the way up. And so I put the cloud lifter in, and I'm not sure the cloud lifter isn't part of the problem now.
Hmm.
And it's an electronic device, so it can suddenly have noise and then not have noise.
Yeah, it's kind of it's an intermittent and it comes out of the blue, like you don't do.
But
anything.
this is an analog device. You'd think it would if it's going to have noise, it would have noise all the time. So the other thing that could be, it could be the A to D, or but it's interesting that when I did some mucking around with software, that it went away. I don't know if that was really a cause or not.
And
Uh,
you have cable internet, right?
yeah, I've got yeah, Verizon FiOS. It's
Hmm.
fiber op. Well, it's cable basically.
I mean, I was trying to think eliminate
It's
the
50 megabits per second.
yeah. I don't think I don't.
On the low, at worst case. And well, I have a gamer upstairs who sometimes.
What about some sort of interference from appliance caused interference?
No, I don't think so. These are the kinds of cables that have
They're
common mode.
shielded and stuff.
They're shielded and have common mode, so uh, it's real. You'd have to just. It would be hard to impose noise on them like that.
Oh,
Uh, so my suspicion is it's somewhere in the software chain,
okay.
but I don't know where. Now I'm using this very good utility called Loopback, which makes everything easier because it basically pumps audio from uh, one source, one application or source, external source, to another, and you can route it using these lovely diagrams. Here, let me show you. I'll
Audio cable? Is that what you're talking about?
say again.
Audio cable? Was that the name of the program?
What kind of cable?
The name of the program itself.
Oh, it's called Loopback. Here, I'll show you I'll show you the interface.
There was something else called audio. Was there another program, similar program called audio cable that I think that's similar to what you were talking?
No, I don't recall that. But anyway, can you see this is what I'm using now?
Yeah,
And this three over here on the Caleridate Pre, that's me talking. And
like yeah, it was I was mistaken. It's called the virtual audio cable.
I've never heard it called that, but
Yeah, because I was looking at it says
it's this is the this is Rogue Amoeba. Is the developer? It's a good product. I've used it quite a bit. I've had good luck with it. And you can see over here, I've got different pipes coming out of QuickTime Player and Skype and Zoom,
yeah.
and the Zoom. There's the Zoom pipe, and that what that does is it makes it really easy to record locally,
Okay.
and it's it's sweet, and it doesn't. It costs like $60.
You can use it together with the OBST as well and everything. It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't
Well,
matter.
OBS should be is sort of
Yeah.
at the very end of the chain.
Yes. So okay, so it doesn't matter basically.
It's not affecting Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one would hope it's not affecting Zoom.
Uh,
Uh, anyway, I'll stop
well,
sharing now.
you had like some sort of a bypass button. Well, I don't know if there's such a thing, but some racks or systems that are in a chain, right? You can do a temporary bypass,
Well,
and then you
you can
eliminate them.
do
You can say, okay, I know that that's not what's causing it because I've eliminated, but the sound is gone now.
you can do mix minus. Uh,
But now the sound is gone anyway. I mean, the static sound is gone. So
yeah, but I worry about it coming back at at irregular intervals. If I'm doing a live, either live or if I'm podcasting, even a podcasting offline. Um, Now, what I'm going to do is when you're done with this, I'm going to go back and well, here, I haven't started recording yet. I'm going to start recording. If it happens again,
it starts hard to troubleshoot when you don't even have the trouble anymore. You cannot troubleshoot something that, I mean, that's one of the biggest issues, the nastiest issues in software troubleshooting, as you know, is when you don't have the trouble anymore. You cannot troubleshoot when you don't have trouble.
uh,
It's all the times. People, the
well,
customer
yeah,
this problem, then you try to duplicate it. You can't duplicate it for the life of you. So that's hard.
Yeah, well, the problem is when you have yeah, a problem that comes up randomly.
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
had that happen even on spacecraft,
yeah.
and I have spent many hours trying to just create, hoping to recreate the conditions on a simulator,
Yeah, yeah.
and and find and writing scripts that would just loop it through many times. And I one time I had a problem where when the spacecraft reset, uh, on very like 0.3% of the time, it would hang up
Hmm.
and would be in a hung condition and um, couldn't function until you sent a command to reset again. And uh, well, I can't tell you what happened, but the customer, I blame the customer for this, but
Yeah.
they caused that to happen,
It was customer caused issue anyway.
and they couldn't command the spacecraft at the time, so the
Hmm.
result was disaster. We did recover eventually, but
Okay.
uh,
Yeah, I can only imagine how bad it must be when, especially when you have physical systems. I mean, I'm not saying that software. Well, I mean, software is some most more times than not is drives something physical anyway. In your case, specifically, drives something physical because
yeah. Well, there was in this case there was a bug that we never tracked down exactly in in the boot ROM or the startup, that every once in a while it would fail to jump to the correct address.
hmm
How you get a bug like that, I don't know. I don't want to know anymore.
yeah,
But when you start any computer, when it starts up, it's supposed to go through this sequence and then jump to an address where it starts its software, right?
yeah,
And no, and so it's kind of it took me. What I had to do was write a script to have it reset and sit and wait and make sure that it booted up again, and then reset it again, and ran like for a day, 24 hours,
wow,
until we got one of those. So, but it can be worse than that. You can have things that prop up very infrequently but are disastrous.
right, exactly. That's the worst fear, especially in the space rocketry, space exploration in general. I guess the spacecrafts because of systems. Because when you're out there, then if something happens, and but I just suppose it could happen to any systems, even terrestrial systems can have that. But
Yeah. Well,
oh,
I've had stuff like this before. It's just uh, where I've worked on teams where somebody on the team was having a bug they couldn't resolve because we couldn't duplicate it.
yeah,
Uh, I had, like these $1 billion spacecraft where when we were testing it, we'd get these weird results that looked for all the world like a short
hmm
in a couple of signal lines, and we go, well, we don't want that. I mean, it's not going to bring the spacecraft down, but
yeah,
it could cause the software to behave strangely, and
it,
you know could never figure out where the short came from.
yeah. I
And
mean, it's
it was a
I have
physical short, but it just what we couldn't figure out how.
I got my AC at home, right? This is related, by the way. I got my AC that it's like 80 years old. And do you know anything about HVAC systems? I mean, not in depth, but anyway, you know what the
I'm about to buy a new expensive one. Yeah,
what the air handler is, right? Versus the compressor which sits outside. So the
yeah,
air handler has got the blower motor, and when to make a long story short, a couple days ago, I figured the temperature thermostat was showing on, like something's not right here, and I figured that the compressor was still running outside, and but the blower motor in the air handler was not spinning. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this gotta be it's probably the fan motor. That's the first thing that came to
yeah.
mind. So called the AC guy, and he comes and he does his diagnostic. He's like, oh, he checks the lines with the what you call the thing, the meter. Gosh, the tester. I forget. The word is skipping now. You know what I'm talking about? The
Yeah.
electric tester, right? Whatever it's called. So, but anyway, so if it doesn't find anything wrong, so it's like, I'm sorry to tell you, but it is it's the fan blower motor. It needs to be replaced. $650. So I I'm like, oh, this is I mean, what can you do? You can only take the word of somebody. I mean, and I looked online. I'm like, it could have been the capacitor. It could be there's other things, but if you know what you're doing, but I'm not an HVAC. I can only do so much with. I try to do certain things around the house, but I'm not your definition of a handyman by any stretch of imagination. So I don't mess with the comp- super complex things, right?
All right.
I don't have the time, and it's not my area of expertise. But anyway, to make a long story short, all of a sudden, we had already made the appointments for the guy to come the next day, and my wife's sitting on the couch, and she's like, I hear the fan. So I'm like, are you serious? So I go down, and the fan is running again. I'm like, how in the world can a fan be broken one moment and then start running again the next? So I called the guy. I'm like, I called the AC company. I'm like, we don't. It started running again on its own. So I have no idea what the hell the problem was. Maybe it was something was stuck in the squirrel wheel. What they call the squirrel wheel?
Squirrel cage. Yeah.
Yeah, the fan blade, right? The actual
Yeah. Sure.
motor. Maybe there was some. I have no idea. But if that was the case, you would think that the motor would be completely burned out, so it wouldn't start running on its own again after a while. So I'm
That's
like,
true.
it was completely anyway.
It
But
sounds like a control system problem.
yeah, maybe it was the relay, but if the relay goes bad, it goes bad. It doesn't go bad and then it comes back to life.
No.
It's either bad or not bad, right? I don't know. I don't know.
It
Anyway,
could be is that it got into a weird state and
so anyway, the bottom line, the punchline is that we saved 600 bucks. Well, we saved $580. We still had to pay for the service call, but the service call was like 75 bucks versus $650. So
yeah.
and it's still running, it's still working after 2 days, still running just fine now, like nothing ever happened. Just crazy.
Well, yeah. We're gonna have to replace ours. It's really old.
Really old.
Yeah, it's not very efficient at all.
One of those what do you call it? Not compressor. The heat air and heat
It's
pump.
a heat pump.
Heat
Yeah.
pump, yeah. I was looking for
You
that.
know, up here we get fairly cold winters. Uh, it's pretty efficient at that, but it's terrible in summer. So when we don't turn the AC on that much, but
It's coming back.
when we
It's
do, we need it pretty
oh,
bad.
it's coming back.
Yeah.
Yeah, the static is coming back.
Oh, it's coming back.
Yeah, just to let you know.
Okay, I'm gonna mark
I
it.
analyze and see what's happening. It's coming back now.
Uh, hold on. Okay, I'm gonna.
Yep.
You still hear it, right?
Yeah, it's there now.
Okay. So I stopped recording and it continued.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna start recording again.
There's
Is
really
it
something
still
going on.
going?
Yep.
Okay, let me try something and loop back. You still hear it?
No.
It
Go,
went.
go
It
ahead.
went. It went away.
It's gone. It's gone.
Oh, that is so weird.
Did you do something?
Yes, I did, but I did. It should have no effect.
Well, try to. Can you re-engage whatever you did?
Yes, but I bet it doesn't repeat. Okay.
I was just wondering because obviously you knocked it out. So unless it
Yada
was a
yada
glitch,
yada yada. Can you hear me?
fine, fine.
Okay. That's a clue. It doesn't make any sense, but
Well, you obviously disengaged something that caused it to
well,
go.
actually, I turned something on, but something I wasn't using.
So it's got to be It's got to be software. You think it's software based then?
I think
Maybe.
it is,
Yeah.
and I don't know if it's just Zoom. And that's why I'm recording with different software, and I'm gonna go back and review that recording to um, to see if it if it's in there,
Right.
and if it and then if not, then it's just something that's going into Zoom wrong.
Because remember the other time what happened? You recorded the entire podcast for an hour, and then the playback there was no voice.
Okay, yeah, I understand. I understand what went wrong there. That was
Okay. There was another
that was pilot error. Yeah.
different.
Um, yeah. It was
You muted yourself or something,
well.
right?
OBS didn't have the right settings,
Uh,
or in another case, I was the device I was using was um, well, in both cases it was OBS setting.
yeah.
Uh, OBS it works really well if you set it right. Um, let's see, am I even going out? Yeah, I am going out on OBS right now. Uh,
You're still fine, by the way. Static is not back.
yeah. Okay. Well, that's a real good clue. I think I have an idea of I need to basically strip those things out of there that I'm not using, and just instead of turning them off, and maybe that will clean things up. And I also need to update the software.
Mhm.
Um, oh, that's really interesting. Okay, this is what I was hoping to find out. You know, what's caused. Okay, and it's good news that it's none of my hardware.
So it could have been an extreme coincidence that you did that and then it went away, but I don't know.
No, it ran away just the minute I
Yeah.
hit that.
When you did that, it went away.
Yeah, and I don't know why, but you know that's software for you. It can give you bugs that don't make any sense.
Yeah.
And let's see. Well, when I get on to oh, my webcam seems to be stuck.
I can see you.
You can see it. Okay, on OBS it's stuck.
I can see you fine. I can see you still moving.
Okay, I'm looking at OBS and
Stuck.
it's not. Well, that just may be OBS display
No.
because it's trying to stream. Things I have the M1 Mac Mini here.
Did you have the processor? I mean, did you? Can you check your processor to see if it's maxed out or anything like that? You know,
No, well, I'm sure it's not.
because sometimes when you max out the CPU, things
Well,
start.
yeah, I've got an activity monitor that gives you a CPU,
Yeah.
which is let's see, where CPU. Okay, that's just got one CPU. Uh, no, nothing's. Well, OBS is taking whatever CPU it can get,
Yeah.
but it says it's got 200. Well, the thing is, this is a multi-threaded processor. I'm not sure what percent CPU means really. Uh, with this, it's Apple Silicon.
Hmm.
So it says OBS is taking 276% of the CPU,
More than enough.
and Zoom is taking 46.1. Which, why would Zoom need that much processor power?
Hmm.
Uh, Zoom has 81 threads.
Interesting.
It's not the best design software I've come across. I would love to have something. Well, we have Microsoft Teams, but I don't want to. No, I don't want to use that either. I mean, we
That's yeah, that's the no, not Microsoft Teams. What I was thinking about the other new Google one. What's the name on the new Google one?
Hangouts.
No, no, Hangouts is gone. No, they don't. Then that's not.
Well, they had something
But
else.
there's some new meeting. Google Meeting.
Google. Oh yeah, I tried Google Meet, which is
Meet.
basically Hangouts,
Oh,
uh, and I had a lot of problems with it.
oh, okay. Hmm.
Maybe they fixed some of those problems. That was about a year ago. But I was doing something with Daniela, and we were having to stop and start all constantly.
Oh, wow.
Now it was offline, you know, so I could edit those stuff out. But um, it was dropping people
Huh.
and dropping me, and um, yeah, I wasn't happy with it at all. Um, and thing is, the old Google Hangouts used to work was so solid. It worked so well,
Hmm.
and why they had to make it worse, And less reliable, I can't tell you.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. Sometimes I used to use this um, weather website for the radar. They had one of the best radar. It was might be familiar with it. It was called, it's still called the Wonder Map by the Weather Underground.
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yeah.
What happened is that I think about a year and a half or two ago or something around that time, they got bought off by the Weather Channel. And when the Weather Channel bought them off, they changed all this map, and now it's much. I mean, it still works, but it's not as good as it used to be. It used to be so much more responsive and everything, and now they kind of killed a lot of the good things, and it's much crappier. So
Hmm.
it's like
Yeah. Why would you want to make
sometimes.
software worse,
Well, I
or
was
a
reading
website worse?
an article about killing. What's that thing called? Acquire to kill, which is what a lot of Facebook is in antitrust investigation
Yeah. Yeah.
because what they do is they buy the competition and they kill it. So that's one way to. What's one of the ways that the rich company can eliminate dangerous competition? They can buy them off, and and they get rid of them because once you buy them, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
So
Well,
a lot of
there's
companies use the tactic.
yeah. Well, a more sophisticated strategy is called embrace, extend, extinguish. Right.
Yeah, exactly, something like that.
Yeah. But you don't have to buy them out. You just have to adopt their standards and then push the standard over towards your proprietary standard.
Right.
And yeah, that was it. Didn't work for Microsoft. They were the big practitioners of that, but it actually didn't work very well because there was so much pushback.
But do try because
Oh yeah,
if you name a company, they don't want anybody to erode into their revenue. What is that called? The revenue line, right? I mean, if you have
yeah,
a competition that comes up with a great, messaging app, the best in the world, and everybody starts flocking and start leaving yours, you're gonna start losing revenues, man, right? I mean,
yeah,
it's obvious. So what they do, like WhatsApp, right? They bought WhatsApp, they bought Instagram. I'm talking about Facebook.
yeah.
What else they buy? They're buying all kind of companies left and right. And
Well, yeah, and I the problem is with Facebook, you're kind of locked in a little bit because your friends and family are using it,
yeah,
and you don't want to say, hey, let's all migrate over to. Well, there's nothing to migrate over to.
right.
uh, well, we
That's.
used to have Google Plus, and we tried that, but then Google just let that twist in the wind.
I forgot what percentage of people in the world around the world. I was reading an article that there is an enormous percentage of people that the only reason why they log on into the internet, the web is to go into Facebook and that's it. Like they don't do anything else. I was like, that's crazy. They don't go and do anything but go on to Facebook.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I want to make contact with family,
It's understandable,
that's where
right?
they are.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
lot of them. I mean, like 40 people in my
Well,
family.
yeah, that's why it's so because it's become so pervasive as a platform, right? Because like many people have convinced their elderly parents or their uncle, their aunt, all these people that would never touch a keyboard before, right?
Yeah, well,
And
the kids aren't there, but
oh, the kids are not there anymore. Facebook is not. I mean, it's
it's not
completely
cool.
no
That
useless.
they're
It's
every all
useless.
other places. Those are other places,
Oh
but
yeah, it's useless. My kids do Twitch and Discord, and that's about it. They don't.
Snapchat, uh,
Yeah, I mean, maybe Snapchat, but mostly TikTok.
TikTok.
TikTok is popular. TikTok, the teenagers do TikTok, and Instagram is big. Instagram is big. Uh,
Instagram is owned by Facebook,
yeah, it's owned by Facebook. That's right. But
but the kids like to take a lot of selfies, so they go on Instagram.
right, Instagram is pretty popular. Instagram, TikTok, and then of course they do Discord. Because Discord you can do all kind of different things for gamers and stuff. And
Yeah, my son's on Twitch a lot,
yeah, so is my
and of course Steam, which is a game platform, but
yeah.
Steam has got kind of a social media
Well, I got
thing
Steam
to
because
it.
I play well now I don't have the time anymore, but I've been sporadically playing games on Steam, and I got Steam and I got Epic as well, which is another one, which I like because they offer free games every now and then,
Uh,
$50 games, and they give them and they're free for a week, and
yeah. Well, we got that VR thing.
oh, you did get it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't. I've never really used it. But my son is on it constantly.
The Oculus, is that the one you got or
Yeah, I think
Oculus?
that's it. Yeah.
I've heard it's a good
And
deal.
it was like $1,000. And but he desperately wanted it. So, and my wife enjoys it too. She likes to. You can go into Google Earth with it and like
Yeah,
tour around the world.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
what she likes to do on it.
Nice.
She doesn't game, but she likes to do that. And I haven't done it at all. But
Yeah,
he's on there a lot, and he's talking to people,
yeah.
and he's interacting in this virtual reality world,
Hmm.
and he's really enjoying it a lot. Um, but and then he plays like Team Fortress on the PC. But um, you know, it's that the kid. That's what the kids are doing. They're you hardly see them on Facebook at all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. No, Facebook is like it's yeah, like you said, it's for the families that are around the world or around the country, and they're in different places, so it's easy, convenient to communicate that way, and that's about it.
yeah. But I find that it's funny on Facebook if I post a cute picture of a cat or one of the kids or whatever, I get all this engagement. But if I post something that I think is really important, it's like, you
Forget
know,
about
I don't get anything. Or maybe one or two likes. Like if I show something about climate change, you know, or
it. Yeah,
science or astronomy, it's like, oh, yeah, who cares? Just put a cute dog in there and we'll like it. Yeah,
I think that the majority of, I mean, I don't have any statistics to back this up because I haven't researched it, but I have a feeling that the overwhelming majority of the world population uses the internet more for entertainment, purposes than for any other purpose.
post selfies
Frankly,
and
yeah, I mean, whatever. I mean, whether it's entertaining with YouTube video, entertainment with with digital medium media like Netflix, or anything like that. I think that's entertainment, right? It's not necessarily for exchanging research. I mean, of course, there's academics, the research academics, but I don't think that that's definitely the majority. And I do need to think that a lot of people use the internet for entertainment purposes. So it's an entertainment tool, I think. I mean, there's a lot of things that happen on it, right? There's commerce, there's economy, there's banking and stuff, but I don't know that those are the primary things that people do on the web these days. I think a lot of people waste their times on the web, to be perfectly honest with you.
well, I mostly use it to access tech support and yeah, or the credit union. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, we're or to research or I watch YouTube videos about how to you know YouTube videos about how to do things around the house.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I've been doing a lot of that lately, but
I changed the what was it? That's a kitchen display. Oh man, I've done so many things with the good with YouTube direction, automotive stuff, or kind of household repairs. Oh man, you can do a lot.
well, yeah. Let me show you my new toy.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm not done, but this is what's going up in the attic.
Oh, is that the
It, it's
repair
a it's a it's a switch,
switch?
Ethernet switch, ordinary Ethernet, but it's industrial grade.
Okay.
It can handle the temperature swings in the attic.
Wow.
This is a power supply for it, which is bigger than the
Yeah, this is good.
bigger than the switch. And this is called a DIN rail. This rail here,
Yeah.
and they attach really securely to the rail, and then you just screw the rail down wherever you want.
Yeah.
And this is the actual AC power coming into it. I have to redo this because I messed up the ground wire.
Okay.
But And this, I don't know what to do with this ground wire, but I think I'll probably just wrap it around here. But that'll sit up in the attic, and I'll be able to run Ethernet from upstairs, all the upstairs rooms. And well, I have 4 ports, so that's enough. And it doesn't if it gets hot in the summer or cold in the winter, this will still work.
Nice.
And because it could actually, run. The attic covers the entire upstairs, so
Okay.
um, it's kind of it's been my little project lately. And so
Is this
we've been
your,
going up there and
is
dealing
this your
and
basement man cave where you are into now?
say again.
Is this your basement man cave where you are now, or
I'm
is
in the
it?
basement right now. Yeah,
I thought it's a main cave, right?
yeah, the pod cave as I call it. Uh, the pod cave, uh, and the main reason is just so that it's away from all the other noise that goes on in the house.
Yeah,
I
I'm
may
watching
I may move it upstairs someday when I have. Oh gosh, what happened here?
the space. Ah, are you doing something now? Because I kind of heard almost like it was coming back, but now it's gone.
Well, I have this problem.
It's back. It's back.
It's back.
It's back.
Hold on.
What did you do? You touch something? You must have touched something.
Somehow I got this without even trying. I got this headphone cable totally tangled up.
As soon as you
Okay.
start touching it.
Plug it back in. Can you hear me?
It's like getting worse now.
It's worse. Okay, let me start recording here. Hold on a minute. Oh, no, 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 no. I'm recording on the wrong place. Okay. All right. Is it still bad? All right. Let me go over to loopback and see if there's anything else I can. Oh, they're all turned on. I wonder.
I'll let you know as soon as it's gone. It's still there now.
Ah, okay. I'm gonna try some stuff. Uh,
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like one of those spring reverbs, but it's not a reverb. It's like a spring delay. You remember with those old spring-driven delay machines?
yeah.
But it's like a delay, one repeat delay, staticky. Like you speak and I hear you fine, and then half a second later I hear you again, but this time it's still staticky.
How about now?
Same, still there.
How about now?
See,
Okay.
still there.
All right. How about now?
Still in place. Still there. Still staticky.
I'm trying to figure out what the culprit is here. Let's see. And now
Huh? What do you do?
I deleted one of the.
Beat it. You fixed it.
I deleted a channel in loopback.
You just fixed it.
Okay.
It's like it was like literally like a switch. As soon as you did whatever you did, boom, your voice became became normal all of a sudden. So you
Okay.
must have found the problem, I guess.
No, I didn't find the problem.
Well, you did something. You did something.
Well, the thing is, I don't know why that should have any effect. I'm totally baffled about that.
But it was like it was literally like you know what I'm saying. It's like not in, as soon as you did whatever you did, I heard like a click, and your voice went normal.
Yeah.
Away.
I think it's the software, which is too bad because really got dependent on the software.
Yeah, but you're saying it's a random problem with the software, or is this
Well, it
configuration?
seems to just start up at random. Yeah.
Well, you haven't been able to pinpoint what if there's a specific configuration that you need to change to avoid that.
No, I think I'm going to have to. What I'm going to have to do is clear all these channels and then rebuild, and then also update the software.
Huh.
Um, but I'm also right now I'm recording myself, and I don't see an issue on the recording waveform. I don't see when it switched. So I'm going to go back and listen to that
Yeah.
afterwards and see if I can figure out what the uh, problem is.
Now, wouldn't it be interesting that if you when you play back, you don't even hear it? That would indicate that basically you have a return, something that it's static. I don't know. I cannot explain what I'm trying to say.
Well,
I
it,
just
it sounds like it's trying to pipe the audio through, and it for some reason it's distorted, or it may be the wrong sampling rate. Another possibility is that um, an inconsistent sample rate.
hmm.
Um, Normally, you want everything at 44. Can you hear me now? Oh, well, that's interesting. There was a okay. The sample rate was 48 kilohertz, and I switched it to 44, and something weird happened. So I'm going to go back to the Focusrite app, and what's it doing? Oh, it's sampling at 48 kilohertz. That's why. Um, that's interesting. I wonder if it's the sample rate, because let me go back to loopback. What is it assuming about that? Uh, oh, there's no monitors. Why are there no monitors? Oh, I didn't want to monitor it. That's why. Um, Pass-through is turned off. That's weird. I didn't mean to do that. Um, Options. Hmm. Well, I mean, maybe. I don't have any options on these channels. I just um, but I'm wondering if it's the 48 kilohertz that's throwing it off. You'd think it'd be smart about that, but I don't understand. I do not. Well, I think I'm going to go through and delete some of the stuff, and then because all I need right now is Zoom pipe and Claret channel 3, and maybe I'll keep Skype pipe, and then that might work. I what I'm confused about is um, I've had in the old days I used to have problems with sample rate being wrong, and because if you're sampling something at 48 kilohertz and you're feeding something that's expecting 44, you get nothing. You get pupkis. So I don't understand that. But well, another thing I'm going to do, I'm going to listen to this recording and I'm going to listen to the YouTube video. Oh, the stream's bit rate is too low. Stream status is good. Should we set the bit rate higher? Getting a lot of warnings. Um, anyway, this is exactly what I was hoping to find out. That there's this. It's related to the software. I know that now, and so I think so. I'm gonna. It's been an exhausting week, but we're almost. I'm almost done with JWST. So, well, it's on the boat right now, but it's going to be arriving next week at the launch site, and so December something or something. Um, it probably won't. Whatever date they've got, it probably won't be that date. It'll be something else. But um, the there's not a whole lot in its way right now. Well, no, there was a launch window, but um, you can always wait. You can wait to the next month and go again. Uh, they have a few a year. Yeah, the French Guiana. They've been doing some launches. It's not it's not like Falcon 9, but it's still you know they have a pretty consistent tempo with the Ariane 5. I guess it remains to be seen whether they're actually going to build an Ariane 6, but um, they've had this agreement to use Ariane 5 for years now, and actually keeping Ariane 5 alive, you know, um, and keeping it launching when they really would rather. Ariane 5 is expensive, so I think that's all they're flying now is Ariane 5. Yeah, for many years they flew the 4, and that was their workhorse, and then they went to the 5, and it took a while to transition, but um, the 4's not flying anymore, and they have another rocket that they want to um, get going, but they haven't had much luck with it yet. And that's a smaller one. And then they want to get to the Ariane 6, which would be sort of in between. Um, it's right now it's doubtful that they're going to stay in that business. Europe, wants to have a launcher, but they don't. They can't compete in cost, and so um, well, their European government launches can be mandated to go on Ariane, or if at all possible, yeah, um, by ESA, uh, but uh, and ESA smartly got in quickly on the JWST and said, "Well, this will be Europe's contribution. We'll provide the launch vehicle." And they're not selling it to NASA. They're supplying it. Uh, oh no, NASA can contract with SpaceX. Well, I think the commercial satellites could contract with SpaceX and do, but not the ESA science missions, things like that. Um, so they're probably will build an Ariane 6 that will do those missions. at least for the time being. That's the plan. Um, this Ariane 5 maybe one. I don't know if it's the last Ariane 5, but it's one of the last Ariane 5s. It's a pretty big rocket because James Webb is a big bird. It's over 6,000 kilograms, and it's going all the way out to Earth Sun L2. It's a big payload, yes. It's not the biggest ever flown, but it's pretty big. Ariane has done comparable size satellites, but they not to that high in energy. So, but they've got the performance to do it. But um, I'm blanking on that. I think it's 3 stages. Yeah, the because we have to have that final injection into that long transfer orbit out to L2. It's a pretty high energy orbit. Um, yeah, well, it's not really escape, strictly speaking. It's close to escape. Uh, it's not really. It's very close to escape velocity, not quite escape. Um, it's gonna. It's a. You can think of it as a very very high elliptical Earth orbit. Um, but it's going to go out there um, and basically should almost run out of energy when it gets to L2, and then they will use propulsion to circularize, put it into an orbit around L2, and but while on the way out there is when all the fun's going to be. They're going to deploy everything and put the sun shield out and start cooling off the payload because it has to be really cold to work. And they'll start commissioning it before they even get out there, and then um, they will. They won't. They really can't fully commission because it's not cold enough, but they can do a lot of their testing, and then so and it takes a few weeks to get out there, and then once they're out there, they'll be. It will take even many more weeks to really get everything cooled down enough to really properly test and do first light on everything. It's gonna, and they have to get the mirror exactly aligned and everything. It's not really stable, strictly speaking. They will have to fire thrusters from time to time to stay at L2, um, and the but even after they're out of fuel, they can still use the telescope for a long time um, before it will still be. You can still maintain your attitude away from the sun, which is the main thing. But occasionally it will see the Earth, which is too bright for it. So there will have to be outage periods. But uh, it's going to be it's going to be a yeah, eventually after it runs out of fuel. Yeah, um, it will. It's got about 10 years of fuel. It might be well. It's supposed to be. They're saying 6 or 7 years, but realistically, there's nothing really going to keep it from going to 10 years. And even after that, they should be still able to operate. Um, Everything on there is long life. So, oh yeah, you can update the software, sure. In fact, you could pretty much, it's pretty much a safe bet there will be software updates, both for the instruments and, well, the instruments are more complex than the spacecraft by probably an order of magnitude. You probably have instrument software updates every year or two, and you'll get, to tweak things and get refinements in the operations. And the spacecraft itself probably won't need a lot of software updates, but um, you might have one or two. Um, and if there's failures, of course, then we may have to update software to work around failures. That's been known to happen. Um, and sometimes it works pretty well, but right now it doesn't seem to be anything that's likely to fail very much. There's a lot of redundancy, so there's at least two for everything, two for everyone, and some of these things aren't that likely to fail. Like the cooler that keeps the focal plane extremely cold. That that's two for one. So they could fail multiple stuff on one side and then switch to the other side and still keep it cold. So and really the MIRI instrument, the mid infrared, that's the one that's really dependent on extreme cold. But even if you lost MIRI, which you wouldn't want to do that because MIRI's really the marquee instrument there, but you can still have the near infrared capability for a long time because the sun shield keeps that area pretty cold by itself. This multi-layered shield that keeps the sun off the telescope. It does a good job of that. So at least we think it'll do a good job. So that alone keeps it cold enough that you can get some near infrared pretty well, and um, but it's the mid infrared is why they have to keep it just crazy cold. But that's where they're really hoping to get a lot of the really good science is the mid infrared. For what? Yeah, it's got MIRI and near cam and near spec, and then it's got something called the fine guidance sensor. Yeah, the fine guidance sensor will be used for some science, but it's mostly for fine guidance for keeping the telescope pointed properly. The the But you have near cam, which is a camera, obviously, and a near spec, which is a spectrometer, and those will be the best of those that type that have ever flown. So you'll get good science from those, but but MIRI, nothing like MIRI has really flown before uh, with that kind of sensitivity. They've got a wide field and planetary camera, and they've got some other. I can't remember the name of the other camera they have, but they have multiple instruments that are basically picking light off. Yeah, but the mirror for JWST is much larger, so there's a lot more sensitivity, and it's really because the ground-based telescopes have gotten so good. There's really no market for a space visual telescope anymore. Because the ground-based telescopes have kind of figured it out in the visual wavelengths, but they can't get infrared properly, especially the mid length, mid wave, and the near. So they are, and it's also really hard to get a ground-based telescope that cold. So where the space is actually relatively straightforward because you don't have all these heat sources around. You have the sun, of course, but the sun, that's what the sun shield's for. So um, they should get it. They should be able to get some unprecedented images and spectra that they haven't been able to get anywhere before ever, and and not just. And of course, the early universe is a big focus, but also um, they'll also be looking at planetary systems, especially evolving planet, young planetary systems. Figure how they form. Well, it's inclined a little, yeah, because uh, it's basically the moon's plane. So, or well, no, the shield doesn't rotate at all. Once it's out, the spacecraft actually moves. Well, that's how the spacecraft's orientation is controlled so that it continues to block the sun. Yeah, yeah, the whole thing moves, and then the telescope has a fine guidance as well. So uh, the, and so we can just hold at one attitude for a long time and then move to block the sun. So there's different things they can do to if they want to have a really long integration time. Um, you can there's a pretty large region where you can do that, and then there's other things where you have to stop integrating and then move. Um, it's complicated, but they have. Oh, I can't remember, but it's pretty big. It's a big chunk of the sky. It's not as big as you might think because we have to keep the sun off the telescope. But yeah, oh yeah, there's definitely at any given time of year there's zones we can't access. Yeah, um, and that's just because we're trying to do keep the temperatures down so low. I mean, you'd be surprised the stuff they have to do to get the temperatures that low is pretty extreme. They have to worry about milliwatts. Yeah, well, basically any wire that's in that area is giving off a small amount of heat, milliwatts, but they still have to worry about it because the temperatures we're talking about are just crazy low. So any heat at all will bump that temperature up, and so you have to keep those. You have to either shield that or find some way to keep that heat radiating in a different direction, and it's not easy. It's been a very very difficult design, um, and because what they're trying to do is beyond the state of the art, which was Hubble, you know. So but there's real hope that it's all going to work. I think, and what I've been doing for the last year and a half has been combing through the data to try to find any evidence that it's not going to work, and frankly, I haven't found anything. Yeah, I mean, right. Well, it's pretty low on JWST. You worry about, but anytime like anything like this though, you worry about something called go fever, where people are given a launch date to hit, and they just start. We're gonna make that launch date come hell or high water. Uh, but I don't think that's the attitude of the management. They have some very experienced people, and they're going to say, look, we want to launch as soon as we can, but we're not going to launch when we're not until we're ready. Uh, as long as Congress will keep funding us, we'll keep going and and launch when we're ready. And I think they're ready. They have tested the hell out of this thing. There have been problems. The problems have been worked and solved. There have been a lot of problems, but they're they were buying these two Italian S-band radios, and they both failed earlier this year. Well, yeah, they both failed, and I think there was a press release or something. So they shipped them back to Italy and figured out exactly what had gone wrong and repaired both. They failed for slightly different reasons, but they both failed, and they not only repaired it, but they eliminated the root cause of the failure. They did a better job basically, and then tested them a lot, and then sent them back to California, and so those they're ready to fly now. Uh, there was a real concern they'd have to build new ones, which would delay the launch by a lot, but they were able to just do repairs, and it because what had happened had not caused any overstress or anything like that. So um, they were able to do that, and there's been other little things that have gone wrong that have all been worked and gotten fixed. But yeah, they're ready. They last year they about this time they were shaking it, and they were uh, doing the acoustic test where they blast a really powerful speaker at it, and I'm not going to go there. No, no. There's very limited people are going to go. Uh, just VIPs, basic VIPs, and the essential workforce that are needed down there. Um, and yeah, and they'll be down. Uh, I think some if it were me, if I were a senior guy in the program, I wouldn't want to be down there because I want to be in the control center when it first acquires the satellite. That's where the action is. You can't do anything about the launch. That they already have people that are handling that. But what if it comes up and there's an anomaly? You know, no, I'm not. I'm not on the ops team. This is a very large program, and very everybody's got their little job to do. It's not. I've been in small programs where everybody had to do everything, but this is not one of those programs. Um, so I'm looking. Actually, I'm next week. I'm going to explore, possibly go work on Mars sample return, which I don't know if that's going to happen or not. But I'm. It's pretty exciting. Goddard has a small but important part of that. Goddard is building the system that when the sample arrives at the orbiter after it's launched off the surface of Mars, it captures it and prepares it for shipment back to Earth. It's the capture and containment system and return system, and so it processes it on board this satellite. I think this is going to be more complex. Yeah, because with Bennu, there was no worry about planetary protection. But for Mars, they are. It's considered a very very low risk. But boy, you better pay attention to it, or you will catch hell from everybody. Yeah, Yeah, well, there's a planetary protection officer for NASA who's in charge of all those missions. And then there's this is sort of reverse planetary protection where we're protecting the Earth from a very it's of extremely low risk. Everybody admits that of something on Mars uh, contaminating Earth and possibly something biological. Um, but nobody thinks that's going to happen. But can you imagine the congressional hearings when they're saying, "Well, what are you doing about protecting us from the Mars plague?" Yeah, well, they did have that. They quarantined the astronauts. Well, the astronauts had been in contact with the samples, so they figured if the astronauts don't die, it's it's probably safe to let the sample. They did keep the samples as pure as they could, as untouched, because you don't want them to be contaminated. But there's that's it's the thing is you don't want a contamination from Mars on the sample return capsule, and you don't want anything whatever contaminating the Mars samples. They 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 have to be really clean and pristine. So they're going to do things like yeah. Well, that's the first thing they're going to ask. When they get these meteorites, they're always worried about something contaminated the meteorite, and so any of the science you do, you always have to worry about could this be Earth contamination? Um, and yeah, so they're going to do everything they can to keep the samples totally uncontaminated, and then they're going to put them put the samples in this container, which is supposedly totally uncontaminated, and then the container launches up from the surface of Mars to this satellite, which is built by ESA, and then the satellite contains the Goddard payload, which prepares it for return to Earth. And then there's this little capsule that is uh, fired off. I'm not sure, clear if the propulsion comes from the satellite or it comes from, I think it comes from the satellite or some other propulsion module. And then because it's small and it doesn't need a lot of rocket, thrust, and shoot it off at the Earth, and then it's going to come in and it's going to land basically the same way they're doing undersample returns, which is this range in Utah. It's going to have a parachute and it will um, come down and on this very barren stretch of land in Utah, and they'll they'll pick it up there. Just drive out and pick it up. But that happened with another one, uh, Stardust mission, and the parachute didn't open properly, and the thing was pretty badly damaged. So they rescued some samples, but they didn't really get as much as they wanted. And the Japanese have returned samples from an asteroid, and they're about to return some more. Um, but I think it was in the late '90s. I'm going on memory there, and it was just there was a problem with the parachute, and uh, it it cracked up pretty bad. But they recovered something. Yeah, and then there's another one called Genesis. Okay, well, I'm Chiro. Thanks for helping me debug my audio. Uh, no, it sounds okay to me, which is weird. I need to figure out where to tap my monitor in to hear what you're hearing. Um, but oh, it's come back. Uh, okay. Uh, well, yeah, but I have no idea what. Um, I deleted a channel from Loopback that I wasn't using, and it I think it's Loopback. I think well, it's the interaction with Loopback and Zoom. Um, I'm using something called Zoom Pipe to get audio out of it, but that's how I can hear you. Yeah. Well, I'm hearing a little bit of noise on my monitor, but it's not much. And I don't hear myself sounding distorted at all. It sounds good. Well, as good as I can sound anyway. Uh, so anyway, yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm doing some podcasting coming up soon, and I'll record locally, and hopefully that will be good enough. Yeah, it does. Yeah, well, the onset is random. Is it still there? Okay. What about now? Okay. What about now? Hmm. Oh, Skype Pipe has a well, I'm kind of out of options there. Oh, let me turn on this pass through. How about now? Okay. The pass through was disabled on a channel I'm not using. Yeah, it's a channel I'm not using, and turned off. I turned off. The pass through was turned off for some reason, and I turned it back on, and it went away. It could be that these pass throughs need to be all turned on. Uh, okay, well they're all turned on now. I don't know how long it's going to be gone. It may come back in an hour, a day, next week. I don't know. Well, it's recorded. It's all recorded, so we'll just um, and I have recordings on my side, which I think are going to be clean. I'm going to confirm that as soon as I get off here. Okay. Well, thanks, Chiro. It's been nice talking to you again. Okay. See you later. Night. Okay, OBS. I'm going to shut that off.